Hello, buddy. Blake Rudis here. Welcome to day 25 of the 30 days, 30 critique sessions. I got a new hoodie. It's kind of like a, I don't know, wine stain color, but I feel like it's kind of like my office camouflage. Look, you can only see my fist right now. See that? I'm just kidding. Whatever. In today's critique, we are going to take a look at this bear shot from an anonymous F64 Elite member. I'm looking forward to getting into that. I do have to say, though, yesterday's Bob Ross stunt pulled in quite a few donations, so we're going to take a look at that at the end of this. But before we do all that, let's get into our twist, which comes from Gary Shera. What you might not know about Gary, he's an F64 Elite member, and we did our vision session. We just released it this week. This is education unlike any other education you're ever going to find. I know a lot of F64 Elite members love the vision sessions. It's a new thing. This is season 1. He was episode 3. We take a deep dive into one shot and really look at the mechanics of vision and how vision can be applied to an image. So if you think what's happening here on YouTube with these 30 days, 30 critiques is cool, this is legitimately preschool compared to what we do in the vision sessions. I'm not joking. It's that good. So Gary says, edit image in Adobe Camera Raw to a point that you feel it could be complete. Then and only then in Photoshop to fine tune into a piece of fine art. Dang, Gary, way to put the pressure on me. Thanks, buddy, as if your vision session wasn't hard enough. Let's get into this critique. Our selection randomizer did a great job finding a awesome wildlife image here of this bear. You know what I really enjoy about this is when I see this bear, I look right towards the face of this bear and I see that beautiful side light that's hitting there, and you just see the silhouette of that light, which is so gorgeous. And then the water dripping from the mouth. Like to get that, you really have to make sure that your shutter speed is really fast to get each individual drop without it looking like a giant string. And I think that that's cool because it shows this stillness. Like you've captured a frame in the moment of it happening. The water is still rippling. It's awesome. I really enjoy your exposure for this. I think you picked the perfect exposure for this shot. I will say it's a little bit dark for me, even though I know it's supposed to be a silhouette. The whole image is a little bit dark, and compositionally, it's one of those things that I want to talk about from a wildlife perspective, but at the same time, I don't necessarily mind it. I kind of wish it was more of like a shot from this side of the bear, because, you know, what we really see in front of us right now is a giant bear rump just kind of hanging out right in front of us, right? It's not a bear one, but it's a bear one. Never mind. That was a bad dad joke. So what I would recommend for this is if you had the opportunity to move, I guess, but wildlife photography is one of those things that's so unpredictable. So what we're going to try to do is bring out some more light in here. But I fear if I bring out too much light in the rump, then that's all we're going to be looking at, right? So what I'm going to do here is try to balance and finesse this so we can get a little bit more light in this space here. So the viewer goes to this space. And while this is visible, it's not going to be that important because we're going to get the light in this space. The other disconnect I have with this is that in wildlife photography, and my F64 Elite members know this, if you submit something for a critique session, if that image, it's a wildlife image, and you globally sharpen the whole thing, I'm going to call it out because I don't think global sharpening is a good idea on wildlife images. In particular, because of this background here, you can see that like there's a lot of detail that's happening right here, right? That's where the sharpening is great for the detail that's happening in the water. And even in the detail, that's what's happening in the bear. But then we go back here and it just feels like that should be soft. It should be creamy. And if it is, it actually allows me to just drift away into it. But the minute you start to try and make that more detailed, I'm lost. My brain is like, why is that detailed? And then I stop looking at the beautiful scene that you have in front of me. It actually is something that takes away from the viewer's perception of your image. I see it all the time. If I'm scrolling through Facebook and I'm looking at wildlife images, I'm like, yep, they over sharpen that. And I can tell because of the background. You won't be able to tell in the animal itself, but you will be able to tell in the background. So let's jump in and attack this critique challenge that I have from Gary. Thanks, Gary. So we're going to use Adobe Camera Raw as a filter, and the first thing I'm going to do is fix the noise. I'm going to use Adobe Camera Raw as a filter a couple times. Now, I do want to throw a word of caution out about Adobe Camera Raw as a filter. First and foremost, it is not. Period. It is not Adobe Camera Raw, the program. It is a filter that you can use inside of Photoshop. It will not be accessing raw data. It's accessing the JPEG data, or essentially whatever data it sees inside of Photoshop. It's not going back into Adobe Camera Raw. So the only way that you go back into Adobe Camera Raw is if you're editing a raw image and you open it up as a smart object in Photoshop, then you're actually getting into Adobe Camera Raw, the program. I typically don't like using Adobe Camera Raw as a filter for many reasons. I don't like the fact that I have to make stamps of all my layers just to go into it, and then basically anything that I do underneath that layer is null and void because now I've made a stamp of pixel values. So it's the nerdy stuff behind Adobe Camera Raw as a filter. I'm throwing out a word of caution because I don't want people to think that this is something I do every single day, okay? So I'm going to duplicate the background layer. I'm going to call this NR for noise reduction. And I'm also probably going to, well, before I do that, let's crop this. I'm going to press C for the crop tool, and I'm going to straighten this. I'm going to try to straighten it off of this horizon line, but if it doesn't straighten well off of that horizon line, I might straighten it off of the bear's legs. But let's go off of this horizon line because it does feel a little bit unstable there because the horizon isn't stable. Okay. Good. Now, compositionally, I probably would have tried to give myself a little bit more extra space on the right side of this, just to give it some room, because this side is, I like to try to have even balance, like if the top and the bottom have a good even balance, but to give it a little bit more room on the right-hand side. But I think if we do that compositionally, we are really going to be looking at the butt of this bear. So let's just do this just like this, and we'll just press enter. Okay. So now we got that straightened. Now I'm going to go into Adobe Camera Raw as a filter, Control-Shift-A, Command-Shift-A on a Mac. And here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the noise reduction for the background. That's all I'm going to do right now. So in the details section here, I'm just going to ramp up the noise reduction. And I'm going to do it pretty high because I'm actually going to use, he said I could use Photoshop, so I am going to use Photoshop for this too. Inside of Photoshop, that is. So once I've got the noise reduction done, might be a little bit too high. Let's go to the 50, okay? I'm going to do a depth mask on this that will make sure that that detail that is blurred in here is only blurred in the background. And what else can we do here? I see what looks like sensor dust spots back there. I can't tell if they're sensor dust spots or if they're little bugs that are flying in the wind. But if that's the case, I'm still going to fix them. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I have visualized spots on. And I'm going to turn that all the way up. You can't really see them, but it looks like right here. You see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so let me just make this bigger. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click here. And then here. And then here. 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 I could keep saying here, but you get the point. Anywhere you see a little circle, it's probably a sensor dust spot. And then I can turn off visualize spots. And that looks pretty good. And while I'm at it, I may as well just clear that spot because I just don't like it. Maybe that one, and that looks good. Okay, now we'll press OK to get us back into Photoshop. So you see, we did some noise reduction for the background. So here's the noise reduction, here's the before. So on this noise reduction layer, let's go into the visionary panel. We're gonna go to depth and we're gonna hit a mask on here so that we get a mask that will go from the background being white into the foreground being black. So we see this is our mask. So this is essentially saying that anything that is black is not gonna be affected by the noise reduction that we just did. But I kind of want that bear to be black because I want the detail there. So I'm going to go onto this layer, go to select and go to subject. I'm going to be kind of hybridized using Adobe Camera Raw. I'm sorry, Gary. I just can't. There's some things that, you know, like it's like that Meatloaf song. I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that. Like I just won't use Adobe Camera Raw for everything. So I'm actually gonna just keep this selection for this bear, and then on this noise reduction layer here, Shift F5, and then fill that with black so that the bear maintains all of that detail. Okay, and then deselect. Okay, so that bear will maintain all of that detail that we had there because it is pure black. And that's what we want. We want that detail to be in the bear, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another stamp of this, Control, Shift, Alt, and E, and I'm going to work on the exposure. So exposure to make this a little bit brighter, okay? And then I'm going to go Control, Shift, A, Command, Shift, A on a Mac. I could also do the hotkey challenge now too because I've probably done a couple of them. I want to put the viewer navigation map on here. All right, so now I'm going to increase the exposure to get some light in the bear. Maybe increase those shadows to get some more light in that bear, okay? And then maybe bring my whites up a little bit and my blacks will come up a little bit. Let's look at our viewer navigation map, turn it off there, and look at color here. Just the regular color profile here. Okay, so I'm going to brighten this up a little bit. This is really showing us the butt of the bear. We'll take care of that when we get inside of Photoshop though, because I am allowed to do that. And then I'm also going to go into the color grading section here and maybe make my midtones a little bit darker, my highlights maybe a little bit on the brighter side here, and then the shadows maybe a little bit on the darker side. Okay, and if we look at our viewer navigation map, it's looking pretty good. Now, I don't want to open this with the viewer navigation map on, otherwise I'll get a nasty black and white image like this. So I'm going to turn this back to color and press OK. So now once I'm in here like this, Now I can start blending the best of both worlds. So I'm going to put a mask on here, B for the brush tool, and then just brush this away like this and kind of make a swooping kind of cup motion like this. Okay. And then it still becomes all about the presence of the light shining onto the bear right here. You see that? Before, after, before, after. Now we still have our noise reduction done because this mask is only being masked for the exposure. And then if we were to look at our viewer navigation map now inside of Photoshop, where are you? Here you are in the self-critique guide, Control-Shift-P to play it. And then here we go. Before, after, getting some more light, making that light look like it's really present in the image. And, you know, I think that looks pretty good. It maintains the same intent that the artist had for the image, which is what I want. But I think it does take it up that next level to that fine art level because we're thinking with a fine art mindset here. The noise reduction for the background only, and then the exposure just for the face of the bear to get us in there. I don't think it needs a whole lot. I don't think it needs any more color. I don't think it needs any more work other than that. So great work here. Thank you for sharing this with us. Our showcase image comes from DARCY QUIMBY. Now, I enjoy this image. This was actually an image that I critiqued on F64 Elite. I think it was last month, maybe the month before. I don't even remember. I do so many critiques, I don't remember. But what I do remember is this image. It kind of stands out to me. And I remember in my critique of this is that I was really trying to help DARCY get more of the viewer's eye onto the starfish rather than the mussels. She did a wonderful job after the critique of getting that there. So what I feel here from this is a unique story now. It's this dare to be different kind of story. In a world full of mussels, I'm going to be the starfish, right? I guess that would be the title of this piece. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure what the artist's intent here is at that point, but I do like that concept. I like that concept. It's like that dare to be different concept. And I see that in this image because you have this really stark magenta sticking out, trying its best to stick out against a beautiful complementary color scheme of blue and orange. So that color scheme between the blue on the mussels, the sheen of the mussels, and the orange of the barnacles that are on the mussels is a really strong complementary color scheme. So in order for you to break that and have the viewer's eye go to the subject, that subject has to be strong enough to do that. And I think the original image it wasn't, but after her processing, I think it is. And it's just lifted it to a whole nother level. So I chose this showcase image to talk about the complementary color issue that you could run into, where if you're trying to get your subject to be the prominent and you're just having a struggle with it, it could be that the colors that are around it are too unique and that one subject just isn't standing out as well as you want it to. So that means you have to subdue the colors of the complementary color, make this stronger color of the subject stand out. And I think that DARCY did a wonderful job like that. And you know, I really like it when we get metaphors for life that show up in our images. And guess what? I didn't even do this on purpose. Her starfish matches my hoodie. Oh, look at that. Great job, DARCY. Thank you for not only entering this into the critique on F64 Elite, but taking the guidance that was given and using it to the best of your ability. And I really do appreciate that. Okay, so we have a donation update. Yesterday, I dressed up as Bob Ross so we could get a $25 donation for Give Kids Art from Jay Halloran, and I think that was actually a catalyst because 3 more people also donated to Give Kids Art. So our individual donor amount is $5,645, which is awesome. Our Circle of Dreams donation came in at $5,000 this last weekend. And then we have the interactions with the things in F64 Academy. And that is subscribing to the YouTube channel gives 25 cents to the kids. Downloading the self-critique guide, which you can see in the description below, that gives 50 cents to the kids, and $4 for a new monthly membership and $20 for a new annual membership. We are looking at a total of $12,130.50. If you would have told me that we would be there on day 25, on day 1, I probably would have thought you were crazy. So we are blowing past the goal, and I love that, and I just see more for Give Kids Art, and I'm very appreciative for everyone that's coming together. Yesterday, I said that this is not a me thing, it's a we thing, and I 100% stand behind that. This is because of what you guys are doing. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your generosity. Love you guys. Thank you so much. So for tomorrow, give me a twist, give me a challenge, give me something. I really enjoy this because it also gives me some really good teaching moments like we saw here with Gary's. And day 26. This is coming to a close next Wednesday. We are done with this, but we are not done. There's more. And we'll talk about that as we get closer.